Welcome, welcome, welcome to my place. I'm so glad to see you face to face. Caring, sharing, happiness and grace. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my place. I'm so excited. Look at my decorations. Now, what do you think my place is decorated for? That's right. It's almost Christmas. It's a magical time of year, isn't it? Houses are decorated with lights and fun characters in the yard, decorated trees inside, and beautiful wreaths. We decorate because it's our tradition to celebrate in this way. And we celebrate in this way to memorialize the birth of Jesus. Now, I know you've heard of Jesus, but do you know who Jesus really is? One day, over 2,000 years ago, a baby was born in the northern part of Israel. Israel is a country far away from here. And that day is the day we celebrate as Christmas. Jesus grew up to be a deeply spiritual and caring man, and a great teacher. Jesus showed us how to care for each other. His example of compassion and his commitment to treating all people like family was his way of telling us that this is the path to true happiness. That's right. You can be more happy by treating others the way you would like them to treat you. He believed that this true happiness was a result of discovering who and what we are, meaning coming from God, being one with God. And he wanted us to know that anyone can have this oneness. The whole point of this oneness is to understand something called unconditional love. Do you know what unconditional love means? That means that we love people and ourselves without anything to stand in the way of that love. That's right. We've talked about this before. Even if you're angry with someone, even if you feel like you don't like someone, it doesn't mean that you can't still love them at the same time. And it's the same with how you treat yourself. Even if you're mad at something that you said or did and wish you hadn't, it doesn't mean that you can't forgive yourself and love yourself and promise to do better the next time. Once people began to have the experience of this unconditional love, they wanted everyone to know about it. That created a flow of love from one person to the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. And it flowed down from generation to generation. That flow of love is kind of like water. It flows from the faucet to this pitcher, from this pitcher to this cup. Love flows the same way, especially as we share the water with others. It flows like the oceans to the rivers and the lakes and the streams and the ponds. And that's how love flows. Jesus' lessons were so popular and so important that thousands of people came to know who he was over the years. So much so that we now honor Jesus all over the world. And because Jesus' birth was a way for us to enjoy each other's love, many traditions came about over history, like our decorations and giving presents, even Santa Claus. Another tradition was to recreate the place of Jesus' birth. This is sometimes called a nativity or a crèche. That's a French word meaning nursery or baby bed, but it has come to mean the stable and the manger and the place where Jesus was born. Here's a story about the very first crèche and how it was created. My friend Chris collects nativity scenes. I bet some of you have nativity scenes at your house too, don't you? I have pictures of Chris's nativity scenes. Watch for them throughout the story. Christmas was coming soon, and Francis wanted to make it very special for the people of Greccio. The little town of Greccio was surrounded by green forests where Francis loved to walk and talk with the birds and the animals. The birds would sit on his shoulder and sing joyfully, and the squirrels would eat from his hand. To Francis, every creature was a special friend. Francis thought of the shepherds who were watching their sheep when the angels sang to them of the newborn baby in Bethlehem, and he had an idea. Francis went to see his friend Giovanni, who lived in Greccio. "I have an idea for our Christmas Eve celebration, and I need your help." Then Francis told Giovanni his plan. Giovanni loved Francis, and he was happy to help with the preparations, but he couldn't help thinking that what Francis wanted was just a little strange. He was not sure what the people of Greccio would think, so he didn't tell anyone what Francis was planning. Late on Christmas Eve, when the stars filled the sky and the air was cold, the people of Greccio walked up the path outside of town to a small cave in the hillside. They carried oil lamps and torches to light the way to where Giovanni had told them to go. The birds who sang with Francis during the day quietly watched the lights from their warm nests. They listened to the happy songs and laughter of the people making their way through the wood. When the procession reached the cave, they grew silent in wonder. There in the lamplight were an ox and a donkey peacefully munching hay that covered the dirt floor. A man and woman sat near the animals and looked with eyes of love into the manger where a baby stretched out two tiny hands. Brother Francis stepped out of the shadows and gently picked up the baby. He smiled at the infant and then at the men, women, and children crowded in the cave entrance. He told them the story of the birth of Jesus, whom he called the Child of Bethlehem. Francis reminded everyone of the poor stable where Jesus was born without even a proper bed or blanket. He spoke of the animals that slept in the same straw that filled the manger, which became a crib, and the shepherds who heard the angels and came to see the newborn Messiah. In the dark, cold night with Francis, the townspeople felt like they were visitors at the stable in Bethlehem, watching the animals and Mary and Joseph with the newborn baby. They could feel angels near as they listened to Francis speak, and then they sang songs of joy. When it was finally time to go, the farmer and his wife carrying their sleeping baby home, and the others followed the family back down the path beneath the sky filled with stars. Giovanni was overcome with love. He should never have doubted his dear friend. Out there in that little cave, Francis had given Greccio an experience of Christmas that would never be forgotten. No matter what kind of Christmas experience we have, Jesus wants us to remember that it's our responsibility to care for each other. Jesus wants us to enjoy how much we're celebrating with our lights and trees and presents, but most of all, to remember the unconditional love that flows all around the world. That's all we have time for today. This time, we're going to end with a song that I bet some of you know. If you know it, sing along. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. heavenly peace. Merry Christmas!